Friend of the channel, Black Phillip, recently sent me this Undead versus Undead replay, so after I was finished throwing up in my mouth, I decided it should be cast. Today we've got Cetra the Imperishable on his Chariot of the Gods, facing off against the foul vampire counts. He's got a couple of skeleton archer chariots. Very interesting choice. I like these guys for a few reasons we'll talk more about in just a minute. Some horse archers as well. Bunch of skeleton spears backed up by Ushabti. Love this combination. Also, some archers. In fact, the Blessed Legion of Vakth. And some more skeleton spears in the back. There are also the Chosen of the Gods, Regiment of Renown Ushabti here as well. And then, of course, for Ben the Barman, also friend of the channel, who is playing the Vampire Counts. He's got the Blood Dragon, of course, by far one of the strongest lords in the game. Probably the strongest generic lord ever. And just insane. A couple of corpse carts, including a Balefire, Unholy Lodestone, zombies up front, second line of skeletons. Some Grave Guards mixed in as well. The one Sternsman, one Great Weapon. And the only mobility here is the Vargeist, one Fell Bat, and then the Blood Dragon, of course. So what that means is, as long as Black Phillip can keep the Chosen of the Gods safe from those few specific threats, he should be able to kite with them quite a bit and get some really insane damage value if he uses his targets. Well, let's talk more about skeleton chariots as they do a little bit of skirmishing here. So, missile chariots have long been the best type of chariot in Warhammer 3, pretty much since Warhammer 3 released. I mean, obviously, dread sleds are missile chariots, of course. And just in general, the ability to generate value without having to commit too much to a melee engagement is pretty good. Most chariots that have missile attacks also tend to have decent missile damage as well. Or skeleton archer chariots with their lots of extra unit models do a pretty solid amount of damage. We see them kind of charging through the skeleton line here, of course, showcasing their melee ability. But yeah, I mean, it's not the most amount of missile damage. It's pretty good, though. I mean, 13 AP, 23 base missile damage on 12 unit models with a pretty fast fire rate as well. Especially when you consider a lot of infantry have in the area of like 60 to 80 HP. This is actually pretty good. I mean, you can like two-shot a lot of lower armor, less health infantry, like these skeleton warriors, for example. Not that it's a super efficient use of ammunition, but just in general, yeah, the ability to kind of generate that value that way rather than having to only commit to melee definitely benefits them. But we're going to see a nice little uphill engagement for the Vampire Counts here. Chosen of the Gods forcing Ben the Barman to advance up into this position. So it's going to be a pretty nasty one for him as he kind of trundles up the hill here. The skeleton spears of the Tomb Kings have a really nice advantage fighting like this. Yeah, Chosen of the Gods also burned up a decent amount of their ammunition, like more than a quarter. And so far, so safe. But we are going to see a dive here by the Vargeist and the Fell Bats. Meanwhile, if we take a look at the chariot situation, they're getting a little bit caught up here. They are still sort of firing, but unlike some other missile chariots, it doesn't seem like the skeleton chariots fire in melee all that much. We see the Blood Dragon landing there on the high ground, popping his Helm of Discord. And one of the reasons why he's so strong, of course, his own stats as well, with some of those buffs just get pretty strong. Doesn't look like he's got too much going on right now, but Cetra doing a good job of staying mobile and kind of cycle charging a little bit here. Likewise, Chosen of the Gods really haven't taken much damage. There was a good response by the reserve spears and these Ushabti as well, just to use their mass to block those Vargeists and such. But Tomb Kings are definitely suffering in the front line. The grind fight is definitely going to turn against them in the long run, even with the support of the Ushabti. I mean, the corpse carts and just overall large amount of HP that the vampires bring here definitely gives some problems. But on the bright side, this Blood Dragon has been getting caught up in Ushabti quite a bit, and since these aren't the summoned Ushabti, you know, obviously real Ushabti, they're going to keep him fairly well pinned in here, and you can see he's having some pretty major issues trying to path out of that blob. Took a huge amount of damage in that meantime. Of course, Cetra can impart bonus versus large with that Jaff's incantation of Cursed Blades. When overcast, does give a bonus versus large, so can definitely help the Ushabti or himself even fight against the Blood Dragon just fine. Blood Dragon has taken a lot of damage, but of course can screen through his own lines, get back into the air, recover with an invocation of the heck, maybe fly around by the Unholy Lodestone. Chosen of the Gods, though, did manage to get free, still have a lot of ammunition left, so they're going to be kind of focusing him a little bit, although their shots are generally better against infantry. Speaking of better against infantry, the chariots just kind of running out of steam here a little bit. This isn't maybe the best matchup for them, although it is nice to clear out some chaff, and we'll see later, they have some impressive kill totals. Their actual value isn't all that high. I mean, tactically, clearing through the chaff is useful, it must be said, but specifically the archer chariots, I feel like are good at counter-skirmishing enemy light cavalry, which is not something you're going to be doing against the vampire counts, obviously. So I don't know, it seems like an odd matchup for them. I don't totally hate it, but on the other hand, I don't know if I love it necessarily. I do think there's other matchups they're more optimized for. But anyway, given that is the tools they have on the field, let's see what they can do. These grave guards with their armor piercing should be trading okay. They've got pretty heavy weapon strength overall, so the Ushabti are going to be in a somewhat uncomfortable situation there, but Chariot and his Cetra and his Chariot squad come through to do some serious disruption, which should help things out. Cetra himself on his chariot, obviously, can kill just an insane amount of infantry, and as long as he can stay safe from some of these threats, mainly being the Blood Dragon, of course, not a lot else is going to be able to stop him here, so let's see. Chosen of the Gods is, again, staying out and away from all of this slow vampire count stuff. Makes sense, although I think one is, like, engaged in melee on the corner of the formation, which is actually preventing the entire unit from firing. Kind of hilarious, but there they are. And the Skeleton Horsemen also, Black Phillip's been doing a great job keeping them protected. Granted, they haven't had that many threats, but still, they've been able to use all of their ammunition pretty much completely untouched here. I don't know why it's not giving me the actual damage value here when I mouse over it. That's a little bit of an odd bug, but anyway. Yeah, Tomb King's definitely suffering in the HP department, but they've got a few things going for them. The fact that the Blood Dragon already took so much damage definitely is weighing on the vampire counts. He has to be very careful about where and when he commits. Meanwhile, Cetra has taken very little damage, so he can play a little bit more loose and aggressive and just try and really punish these infantry blobs. He does have to be careful, though, not to get into a traffic jam with his own Ushabti, as we see happening here. Definitely is a dangerous situation. Wants to try and stay on the move. Although, you know, again, not a lot has armor piercing here. The Chariot of the Gods is fairly well armored, obviously. Yeah, 110 armor, very good. But again, the Grave Guard with their high armor piercing weapon damage, and just overall in a surround, you know, he doesn't want to sit and just take the damage, right? So definitely want to stay on the move. ABCs with the Chariots, right? Always be charging. That's the goal. Anyway, Chosen of the Gods are also still focusing on their goal of trying to finish off the Blood Dragon. He is healing quite a bit of HP, though. He's pretty close to his healing cap, and the Chosen of the Gods don't have a whole lot of ammunition left. They've already got some pretty insane value, I'm sure. Again, we'll be able to see that after the fact. I don't know why it's not working right now, but anyway. Will he actually try and drop down against them? It looks like he's going to maybe throw a summon here, just a zombie summon to kind of interrupt. Yeah. And the Tomb King's in the front line just continuing to get punished pretty heavily. Unfortunately, these Ushabti are going to crumble here, but it looks like the summoned Ushabti being pulled up at a pretty late point in the game, trying to get a trap on the Blood Dragon, but Ben the Barman's too quick for that. It's a pretty long cast time, so it's not too hard to escape. He's able to get back up in the air. Cetra charges in, is trying to, you know, do his best to clear through this giant blob of infantry, but I mean, if the Blood Dragon wants to stay up in the air and afford Cetra the opportunity to do so, certainly he will take it, but it looks like he's going to go for a big dive here. Yeah, he gets blinded by Cetra. Obviously, his ability, Blessed Blade of Petra, gives blinded on contact, but it will run out soon, and then he'll be hit with that Helm of Discord, so Cetra is definitely struggling here, although he can do attack animations from the front. It's also not super efficient. And maybe if he could utilize that super high charge bonus to charge into the Blood Dragon. I mean, literally 100 charge bonus, so we'll see. It's definitely going to be anyone's game at this point. Super neck and neck. And the Chosen of the Gods still fighting along with these Skeleton Horse Archers. They've almost managed to use all of their ammunition. And if they only dropped, yeah, haven't even dropped a single unimodel over the course of the entire game. So credit to Black Phillip for keeping them online. But look at this. This Blood Dragon is not wanting to, excuse me, not wanting to go quietly. And the Ushabti are having a hard time getting a clean beat on him without getting inundated by vampire infantry. So let's see if Cetra is able to bail them out, kind of screen here with these Skeleton Horsemen archers. We see they get something, a little incantation of protection there. So, yeah, I don't know why none of the mouse overs are working for me right now. It's very, very odd, to be honest. But anyway, yeah, Cetra here getting well over 177 kills. And just overall doing a great job. But the balance power starting to turn against Tomb Kings a little bit as they run out of HP and units here. It's just Cetra and the Chosen of the Gods at this point, and that's completely it. Oh, no, are they also some Skeleton Horsemen here still somewhere? Yeah, they are mixed in there, actually. Couldn't see their unit card, but they are crumbling, so they're not long for this world. Oh, Chosen of the Gods, again, focusing their ammo on trying to finish off the Blood Dragon, but he is doing a good job of dodging. Ben the Barman is staying on the move and not letting them get solid hits. It looks like the Ushabti just used the last of their ammunition anyway. But let's see, if the Blood Dragon tries to dive here, Cetra could try and countercharge him. Looks like an incantation of protection also kind of preemptively cast here to keep them from taking too much damage. Another zombie summon from the Vampire Counts, and let's see the angle that the Blood Dragon takes here as he tries to get a charge in on Cetra. Gonna wheel all the way around, try and avoid the Ushabti maybe. Nope, not really wanting to commit too heavily to a charge there. Makes sense. Only really want to take that when the time is right. So let's go ahead and fast forward. Okay, sorry about that. I actually had to, like, reload the whole UI real quick, and I think it's actually working now. Yep, okay, so check the values in just a minute, but let's fast forward through this late game a little bit as Cetra kind of cycle charges. To a degree here, I mean, obviously these two are gentlemen, and, you know, this is a friendly game. It's not, I don't think there's anything on the line here. It's not necessarily competitive, although I will point out real quick, Cetra's curse did go off here. That is something that a lot of people might cut, but I almost missed the effect. It actually does help finish off the Blood Dragon, which is obviously super important if Cetra wants to try and win, but that curse is an ability that many people will often cut because it does cost a little bit of extra gold, and you can cut it. But we just saw there it was able to actually deliver a huge amount of AoE damage when it went off, and probably helped finish off that Blood Dragon, to be honest with you. And now it's just Cetra versus the world, so we're going to pop back into fast forward here and allow Cetra to just sit and fight. What I was going to say about the gentlemanly nature of these two gentlemen is that, yeah, I mean, Black Phillip, if this was a ladder game, or depending on the tournament rule set, could just cycle charge to the end of days here and probably win. But as a gentleman, a game between friends, he's not going to do that. He's just going to leave the chariot there in melee, and it does end up getting ground down by the Vampire Counts for a finish. So, I mean, it was super, super close there at the end. Absolute photo finish. Like I said, if this was a real sweaty tournament game, depending on the rule set, Black Phillip might have been able to abusively cycle charge that endgame and win. But I definitely respect, you know, the respect between the opponents to just call it there. And it was definitely an awesome game. I mean, Chosen of the Gods, credit to Black Phillip. Didn't have a lot of threats, but at the same time, were able to prioritize fairly well, almost win the game, and just accrue an insane amount of value. I mean, yeah, enough said. Almost 20,000 damage dealt, 3,775 total damage value. Cetra himself also a lot of chaff clearing and legit value as well in terms of damage output. Two chariots, like I said, they cleared out a lot of chaff. Didn't necessarily pay for themselves, but that's okay. The Ushabti picked up quite a bit of the slack, and I really like Ushabti right now. They're maybe the melee Ushabti, best they've ever been, maybe. Skeleton Spears also with that nice uphill engagement managed to trade okay in a couple of circumstances. For Ben the Barman here, I mean, it's a fairly potent and straightforward Vampire Counts build, maybe lacking a little bit in mobility. I might change that somewhat, but at the same time, I mean, what can you really take mobility-wise besides something as expensive as Blood Knights here to actually threaten the Ushabti? Maybe Hex Wraiths as well. Black Knights probably actually are enough to get the job done, though. I don't know. Have to try it out a little bit. It's been a while since I've tried. But just, you know, I like Bone Tonia, so I definitely tend to play the Vampire Counts with a little bit more mobility. But the super wide infantry armies definitely have a lot of teeth, especially when led by, again, the best generic lord in the game by far, the old Blood Dragon. So definitely a fun one. Big thanks to Black Phillip for sending it in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.